many managers make. More revenue, you need to close more deals, and by the way, you need more pipeline, right? So more pipeline, if you actually think about that, is an objective that you need to achieve to make the big goal, right? So if you've got a goal of, just make up a number, if you've got a goal of doing 150% of your target, so that's my big objective, my goal. Well, to do that, I'm going to need, strong pipeline coverage, qualified deals that fit within my ideal customer profile that are closable within the period. So you then set an objective of pipeline coverage. And then you need to think about, well, that's my sales objective, is to create the pipeline coverage to actually make the big goal or the main objective. But then, what are the activities that I need to execute to be able to do that? And the truth is, you can only manage activities, right? You can manage activities that feed into objectives that give you results. But we need to manage the right activities. And most people are stressed out about the lack of result. Right. And they're not proactively managing the input activities that will get them there. So, the thing I do with organizations around the world is think, okay, so let's think about ideal customer profile, buyer personas. Let's nail the narrative. So what's the conversation going to be with those people? And that's where OKRs really come in. So what's your customer trying to achieve? How are you going to engage in a way where there's alignment? And then you can start to reframe their thinking and take a worthwhile point of view or perspective to them. Very similar to the Matt Dixon, Brent Adamson book, Challenger, right? So you need to challenge their thinking or reframe their thinking. And when you do that, you go, great, okay, well, I need to nail all of these elements for me to be able to execute. If I don't know my ICP and my buyer personas, I can't create a decent list, right? So I need a list if I'm going to drive activity. I'm not going to do that successfully unless I nail my narrative, my conversation narrative, my value narrative, and then once I've done that, I then need to have the gravitas to be able to talk the language of leaders and elevate the conversations, because that's really what you need to do.
Sure. And one of the elements of the key results is really, truly, we're going to measure this. And at the end of the day, Tony, we got it done or we didn't get it done. And, putting a mathematical equation, you mentioned mathematics earlier, putting a mathematical equation to a particular key result is obviously, that's the measuring part that has to be there. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your latest exciting projects. For our audience, a little bit about some of your books and videos and things that you've got going right now that are simply off the charts.
So I'm really excited about the new book I'm writing. I've got 2 weeks to go before it's got to be in the HarperCollins. I'm co-authoring with Justin Michael, who lives in California. The book is called Tech Powered Sales. Develop superhuman sales skills. And we're talking about the way that the whole world is changing with the fourth industrial revolution, with automation. The things that technology is capable of doing is just insane. There's people out there that believe that up to 50% of jobs are disappearing. And people, especially in areas where they think they're immune, you'd think that high empathy, high human engagement roles like teaching or selling would be immune from being automated away, but it's just not true, right? It's really scary. So for salespeople and for businesses to thrive, it's all about how do we harness the bots? How do we harness technology in a way that improves customer and employee experience? And for a long time, if we do this well, for a long time, what it'll enable people to do is to focus on higher value tasks, right? So in the world of selling, 70% of what a salesperson does can actually be automated. The scary thing today is for most business-to-business sellers, they only spend about 1/3 of their time actually selling. The other 2/3 of their time, they're thrashing around, wasting time, really. So if you can use technology to make them more productive and then inject the humans into the process at the time where all of that empathy and insight and the relationship building piece really makes a difference, the high value piece. So I think in my view, 1/3 of field sales jobs are going to disappear. Now, they won't all disappear out of the world of selling, but a lot of that third that disappear from the field will migrate to inside sales roles where people are enabled really well with technology. So there may still be the same number of salespeople, but the big salaries won't be there for a lot of people. It'll move to inside sales and it'll become technology powered. So that's my thing I'm writing about at the moment. And I'm wanting to help people make sure they stay relevant, in selling as a profession by providing the level of value that funds them in their role.
That's fantastic. I can't wait to read it. All right.
You.
Last question, Tony. Any other insight that our audience might be able, like a little tidbit or something that as a takeaway about either selling or OKRs, or any helpful hint in successfully dealing with today's challenging times?
It comes back to the very first thing I guess I learned in selling 25, 30 years ago, is that, it's not all about me. So if you're a seller or a vendor, it's not about you. It's not about you making your sales, selling your product, telling the world about what you do. It really is all about the client. And if you want to elevate engagement, and I know that we both work with an awesome organization called Red Hat, a tech firm. And I think Brendan Hawke, the legendary Brendan Hawke out of Australia, introduced us. I listened to the interview you did recently with Mike Bird at Red Hat as well. I really enjoyed that. But, they're an organization that's embracing this. And I've had the privilege of working with them in the Asia Pacific region. And for the thing you and I, Tim, we're completely aligned. And that is, if you make it all about the customer, so rather than our objective, what's theirs? What's the big objective that they're driving at? And what are the key results and how they're going to measure those? And the thing I say to people is, when you think about OKRs, once you understand the client, you're in a position to create alignment. And then as you build your own point of view that you can take to them, it needs to be around one of or all of these three things that you could potentially do for them. It's all about how can we help them improve that key result that they're planning on getting from the objective. So how can we help them improve the key result? More dollars in the door or less dollars spent, or improve percentage metrics, say on customer retention or the cost to serve or whatever those metrics are. So how can we help them improve the result? Next thing is, how can we help them accelerate the achievement of the result? How can we help them do it sooner? And then the third thing we can potentially help with is, how can we help them de-risk, right? So how can we help them get more of this key result, do it faster, or de-risk the whole initiative? And if you go to them with a perspective built around that, what you have is incredible alignment with the client, right? So, rather than trying to be an annoying evangelist where they're not interested in your religion, right? You're preaching to the choir. You're going, hey, look, I understand you've got this big objective that you're seeking to achieve. And from the research I've done, you're expecting these key results, in execution. We've got a point of view about how we think you could get more of that, or do it sooner, or reduce the risk. And there's some other organizations we've had the privilege of working with that we'd like to share some of those insights, with their permission, to help you improve what you're doing. And if you do it with some humility and you've done the research and you've got that level of alignment, to me, it's almost like the scene in that Jerry Maguire movie years ago where Tom Cruise, in his role as Jerry Maguire, is trying to win back his girlfriend. He walks into the living room where she's living with her sister, and her sister hosts a support meeting every week for women going through horrible divorces. And he walks into that meeting and he's giving her his sales pitch. And he says, you complete me. And she just stands up and says, shut up. You had me at hello. And I just think if people understand the customer's OKRs and they think about bringing that point of view to them, they'll have the customer at hello. And that's really my advice to sellers.
Well, Tony, gosh, what a pleasure. This was fantastic. And I so much appreciate you taking out time of your day to spend not only with me, but our audience, and talk a little bit about OKRs, talk a little bit about what it is and what it takes to be a truly marvelous and successful salesperson moving forward in these challenging times. Tony, thank you so much. And I hope you have a wonderful day and a great week. See you now.
Thanks, Tim. And I love the podcast. I love all you're doing in the world of business. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.